and they worship the area, which is his dick bulge from the movie Labyrinth, because in the costume his codpiece is very revealing. And I also brought up that one fact where Brian was like, stop, where I said Willem Dafoe, when he does nude scenes, has a stunt double with a less impressive penis. Because Willem Dafoe... But his penis is so impressive that he has to have a stunt double with a less impressive penis, because no one can do nude scenes with him because they're just in awe.
This right here is why this is legit the worst world in the game.
What you mean, man? Mike!
I know the light cycle is like the thing everyone... I know the light cycle is like the thing everyone remembers from Tron, but it's bad.
Oh yeah, this making is fun.
This minigame is boring and it goes on too long.
But light cycles, man.
You're doing basically the same thing.
That's what minigames are.
I would say they...
Light cycle, though.
I would say they should have maybe tried to make it like how the light cycle actually played in the Tron movie, but it would have actually been worse to just start playing Centipede in the middle of Kingdom Hearts for no reason.
And I have a tangent for something related to that.
He has a dick cannon.
I will make a point in a minute. I had a... Hold on. I had a point. I was gonna say something, and I...
Light cycle.
I lost my light cycle point. Give me just a minute. That's embarrassing. That's like really bad. Wait. Hold on. I think I know... Oh wait, I remember now. The light cycle in this game... is similar to the light cycle that is in the original movie. So it's the very grid-based one that has limited movement. In the Tron world in Dream Drop Distance is based off the second Tron movie. And a big thing in that was the light cycles could turn properly. So the Tron minigame in Dream Drop Distance, the light cycles had proper turning.
My problem isn't...
That just amuses me.
My problem isn't really the grid-based movement in this. Again, it's that this is boring.
My point wasn't about inherently the grid-based movement. My point was, this is the movement of the original light cycles.
Okay, what's the point of those walls if they don't damage you or stop you?
Man, they do damage you.
What?
They do damage you.
Yeah. It's like minor damage, but...
Tron!
I love how, because the original Tron was made in the 80s, all the, you know, like, computer stuff in the movie is really simplistic and, you know, outdated and stuff, and then we jump, like, 35 years later to the 2010 sequel, and it's like everything... It's like night and fucking day.
I also love how the sequel... The one... Like, the plot of the sequel, the guy from the original Tron had a son who...
I love when a movie gets a sequel like 30 years later and they have to try to think of a reason in a plot to have basically the people from the original movie, if it's like, you know, live action or something,
Independence Day?
Yeah, they basically find a way to write, okay, why this person gained 40 years.
But I love...
My favorite one of those, this didn't happen because the movie was cancelled. John Carpenter's remake of The Thing, it was originally going to have a sequel, except the plans for this sequel were in like 2009, 2010, so it would have had a problem of, you know, we need to find a way to explain why the actors aged like 30 years, because its sequel was literally going to take place mere like 5 minutes after the end of the first movie. So their explanation to why the actors didn't age was going to be their faces, because of all the stress and frostbite from that, stayed the same. Yeah, that was going to be the explanation.
That one's pretty good.
But the movie got canned, so that ultimately never happened. I think in the place they decided to have that prequel movie for some reason.
Alright, how to put in these 7 Princesses of Heart. The only ones.
I see you unintentionally throwing some shade at a number of lesser known princesses that Disney technically owns.
I think he was more throwing a shade towards the fact that we're going to do the same thing in the next game with 7 different ones. And that's when it's revealed. Sora is one of the 7. I'm one of the 7 Princesses of Heart? Yes, Sora.
At this point,
It is as the prophecy foretold.
At this point,
I do love anti-Sora in the Data world. That's I love that costume.
Man, it would be great if he could just use his reaction commands. Say it last time, say it again. This form is shit.
Let's
This form is literally nothing more than a punishment.
as we had said, let's add that caveat point that this form is a punishment because they want it to be, where if you actually, you know, had decided to make this just a extra cool secret form, there's actually some merit to it. It's a punishment.
Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, sure.
It's
That's
a
the
punishment.
problem. It's not a form. We didn't intend it to be an
Exactly.
actual form. We literally intended it to just be a detriment. For something that Sean literally cannot do right now.
Yep.
That's like, I didn't.
That's my point. We, if the argument is that we made anti-form to stop people from spamming drives, Sean literally cannot do it right now.
Yeah,
His one drive use in this entire battle was wasted because he went into a pointless form that's only there to punish him for spamming what he can't spam.
I honestly, to me, the worst thing about anti-form is the fact that you can't get out of it. Is like you can't force the form to end. You have to stay in it.
Correct. Because it's a punishment.
Because I never realized it before because of scenarios like this, but because of the times you need to use reaction commands, there are points where you will basically fail because of anti-form.
Yes.
And that's,
Yes.
and that's bad game design.
Again, shit form. The form's literally dog shit. I don't know what idiot decided that it was a good idea to put anti-form in this game. But they're an idiot. Because there's no reason it needs to exist.
An emergency destruct program for the town. Let's see how it performs.
No.
Program, you changed the password.
There, that should buy us some time.
Tron,
as we argued about, like, the problem is that someone literally thought having the gauge and everything wasn't good enough, so they had to, block you with this stupid extra.
Well, you know what kills me is that they did that, but then they give you a form that literally says, "Oh, this one doesn't do that," and then made it the best form.
It's almost like they added it after people complained.
Wait, which form are you talking about?
I'm talking about limit form.
I'm talking about final form.
Oh.
Final form literally cannot go into anti-form.
Hmm.
In fact, it reduces your chances of going into anti-form.
And limit form, I believe, is supposed to ignore it outright. Other than that one tournament, just to be a dick.
Final form cannot do it.
Again. Anti-form is just stupid.
Yes, it is.
Like, whether you look at it as a design decision, as a punishment for spamming, no logical explanation can be made to make it reasonable that anti-form is just stupid.
I never said you're wrong. And it is, in its current way of working, stupid. But anti-form has some very cool tech to it. And a lot of people are like, if they weren't being assholes and idiots, this form actually is deeply interesting because it has its own customized, very nuanced combat and way it works because of how they designed it, where anti-form has all this weird tech to it. And a lot of people are like, this is deeply interesting, but the form sucks in the game as it is. That's why people, hacked the game to make anti-form worth using, and then people actually are like, in that instance, it's been pretty good, but that's because someone tried to make it usable like an actual form instead of this stupid idea.
I really do want to know when anti-form was added into development.
What?
I really do want to know when they were developing the game, when they made anti-form, because it feels like it was something added really late into development.
Well, me and Sean had a talk, or we were texting, because I was watching a video of somebody playing, and I mentioned it before, they were playing Kingdom Hearts 2 in final form only. And what was
wisdom form?
Wisdom form. And wisdom
We
form
talked
only.
about that a bit.
The thing that was significant that they said, as well as the way that I was looking at the game, because I was making the point that if you could just play the game the whole way through as wisdom form, there would be a lot more depth to the game. But I made the point during the conversation that, in my opinion, it's very possible, because the guy playing it, he's a speed runner, but he also does all these custom runs. He made it evident that Sora can literally not ride Roxas's skateboard, and he cannot do any of Roxas's reaction commands. Now, from my standpoint, from what I know about game design and development, I don't know at what point someone would... Basically, what I'm saying is that we programmed Roxas's segment of this game so that Sora could not do it.
I'm disappointed in you, program.
That shouldn't be a thing.
Why do you insist on allying with these
Why should that not be a thing? Because there should be no logical explanation to how a player in Roxas's part of this game can turn into Sora.
What command would that be?
Like, that's game-breaking level of bug. Because the player would have to somehow access...
It's funny!
Would literally have to go into the game's code and just change themselves to Sora. Because there should be no way that the player could turn into Sora during Roxas's part of this game. So with that in mind, I came up with the theory that either one of two things was going to happen. Either you weren't actually going to start this game off as Roxas, or you were going to go back to playing as Roxas some other point in this game again.
Funny that you bring that up, because I have a very interesting side tangent. Now, this, what I'm about to explain, was done on an emulator that they used to hack, but they did this one minor hack, and the result was really interesting, and the person who said that they did this hack, apparently they only did one thing, and
Hey,
the rest...
start using stop.
So, someone used an emulator. It was that person who did that hack where they like fought Sephiroth with unlimited forms. I think it was that person. If not, it was just a video I got suggested from watching that. Basically, they hacked the Roxas data fight and replaced it with Twilight Thorn to see what the game would do. And apparently, all they swore they did was just make it where when you load the Roxas data fight, you fight Twilight Thorn. When they entered the data fight, Twilight Thorn had a health buff and Roxas could use drive forms. They were a bit glitchy, but Roxas could use drive forms without the game crashing, and Twilight Thorn had more health to compensate for loading it in the data fight place. So Twilight Thorn was stronger, and Roxas had all of Sora's drive abilities, basically. Which is a really interesting thing that the game does, because there is no way to ever get that to happen in a legitimate playthrough. Which can, make you wonder what the hell happened to make that happen, because the game wasn't crashing. Which gives... Though when he tried to use Valor Form, Roxas got 2 Keyblades, and they defaulted to, the Oblivion and Oathkeeper. Like when you have Roxas...
Yeah, I got Vicinity Break.
What does that do?
It's one of Sora's finishers.
Yeah.
So that's
my thing about it, is that I felt like there's no logical reasoning to why we should believe that the player can just turn into Sora somehow, regardless of whatever bug and or glitch. So the only reason that we would literally program everything in Roxas' section to only work with Roxas is that we either originally did not start this game as playing as Roxas, or we maybe started this game playing as Roxas, and we might have went back to playing as Roxas halfway through it.
the fact that Roxas in a basic hack could use drive form data somewhat successfully without the game crashing does give credence to...
But that's also because I think I want to remember hearing Roxas, because when you basically, in terms of animation and all of his programming, Roxas and Sora basically use the same skeleton, so because of that, a lot of things can be mostly interchanged between the two of them and usually do...
But... game data is a very...
Yeah, I know, but my point was apparently Roxas and Sora are made up of mostly the same data.
But they're not exactly the same.
I said mostly the same.
Also the one who brought back the MCP. The Ansem I first knew wouldn't do that. I'm sorry I didn't tell you.
That's okay, but now I really don't get it.
I don't understand it either. But
My
I think
point-
like you are going to be the ones who
Game
I
design...
don't understand it either.
It's
I just
awesome.
have rounded
have the
shoulders.
ability to take illogical routes and still arrive at the answers you seek. Now go, before the MCP starts acting up again.
Now go.
it's time for the question of the day and my overall thoughts on the topic. I asked a question like this before, but I really do find this topic to be interesting. Would you have preferred if the forms in this game had unlimited time so that you could use them to get a more centralized playstyle, like having a physical-focused form, a magic-focused form, and then the mixed forms take some of the best traits from the physical and the magical form, but do not give you access to everything the individual forms offer, making the mixed forms more like a red mage where you have a centralized set of mixed abilities, but you do not have access to every unique overpowered ability that a single form has. As for Sora himself, the way I imagine they would balance that out, Sora becomes a very similar jack of all trades, but each unique form has its own special set of commands exclusive to that form. Like, the physical form gets the most combo plus and strength increasers, whereas the magical form would end up getting the most MP restoring abilities and maybe the most magic damage. And this way, regular Sora can act as a middle ground that does not have the greatest multipliers, but that doesn't limit you in what you can do, and I think that would have balanced out well. Whereas Master Form and Final Form are a similar idea of some kind of balanced out red mage, where you get a different combination of abilities to use from the physical and magical forms, but you do not have access to the entire arsenal. And maybe for the sake of consistency, they could have just made it 3 forms, but if they really need to include Final Form, then maybe Final Form would extend the list a little bit and give you more options without fully giving you everything that an individual form has, because at that point Final Form would be better than Sora, unless you wanted Final Form to be better than Sora, in which case it would be considered the ultimate transformation, and you get it near the end of the game anyway, so I don't mind at that point Final Form just replacing Sora, where you would have a form that kind of exists to pull together every individual playstyle. In my opinion, that's okay. I know I'm rambling at this point, but I really do think the game should have been balanced around that kind of concept. A bunch of other games do that kind of thing. If you ever played the SNES game Demon's Crest, its final form is basically a combination of all the other forms. That way you don't have to pick and choose, because that final form exists as a reward to make the form changes pointless. And I love that kind of game design. It makes you feel like you earned this ultimate broken form. Anyway, you can leave your thoughts, opinions, and answers in the comments, or you can leave them on social media. All my social media links are in the video description. And if you follow me on social media, that helps our communities grow. But anyway, I really do need to go, so I hope you all enjoyed the video. I will see you all next time. Following me on social media does help our communities grow. I'm sorry about chilling out at the end of videos. I just feel it's kind of a necessary evil to promote the fact that if you want to support my content, you have many different ways. But anyway, goodbye for now, everybody.